The Young and the Restless, Victor Newman's power struggles and the tipping point in his marriage with Nikki. In Genoa City, the Newman family is always at the center of high-stakes drama, but the latest developments surrounding Victor Newman's control and his long-standing feud with the Abbott family are about to bring things to a breaking point. The stakes are higher than ever as Victor's actions risk destroying the most important relationship in his life, his marriage to Nikki Newman. Victor Newman's need for control. Victor Newman, a man known for his iron grip on every aspect of his life, has long prided himself on being the mastermind behind every move in his business empire. His desire for control extends to those closest to him, especially his wife, Nikki. Over the years, Nikki has endured countless sacrifices in their relationship, often putting aside her own wants and needs for the sake of maintaining peace with Victor. She has watched him manipulate situations and people around him, believing that his decisions were always for the greater good, even if they were self-serving. But as the years have passed, Nikki is beginning to grow tired of constantly being overshadowed by Victor's domineering presence. She has seen firsthand how his obsession with power, particularly his endless feud with the Abbott family, has taken a toll on their personal life. Nikki is fed up with the constant drama and Victor's tendency to drag her into his vendettas, especially his long-standing grudge against Jack Abbott and, more recently, Kyle Abbott. Nikki has always tried to stay loyal to Victor, but her patience is wearing thin. She finds herself increasingly disillusioned with Victor's refusal to let go of the bitter rivalry with the Abbotts, especially when it begins to affect her family. The tension between Victor and Jack has always been personal, but now it's threatening to spill over into their marriage. Nikki's frustration is palpable as she is forced to endure Victor's constant interference in her children's lives, particularly his desire to manipulate the relationship between Kyle and his daughter, Claire Newman. The strain on Victoria Newman and the family. Victor's interference in his children's lives is nothing new, but it has reached new heights with his treatment of Victoria Newman. Victoria, once a proud and independent woman, has had her life and relationships repeatedly derailed by her father's overbearing control. One of the most painful examples of this was when Victor's actions led to the destruction of her relationship with Cole Howard many years ago. The scars from that betrayal have never fully healed, and Victoria is now more determined than ever to stand up for herself. Victoria confronted her father in a moment of clarity, expressing her disgust with his constant interference and control over her decisions. But Victor, as always, believes that his actions are justified, and he sees himself as the ultimate authority figure. His refusal to back down, even when it comes to his own children, only deepens the rift between them. Victoria's outburst might not be the first time she's challenged Victor, but it certainly signals the growing tension within the family. As the rift between Victor and his children continues to widen, Nikki finds herself torn between her loyalty to her husband and her desire to see her family thrive independently of his shadow. Victor and Cain Ashby, a partnership that could break Nikki. In his quest for dominance, Victor is making an unexpected move, one that could have disastrous consequences for his marriage to Nikki. To protect the Newman empire and take down Jack Abbott, Victor is plotting a partnership with Cain Ashby. Cain, who has his own complicated history with the Abbott family, is being recruited by Victor to help him infiltrate Jabot and wrest control of the company away from Jack. Nikki, however, is completely opposed to this idea. She has seen enough of Victor's tactics over the years to know that his desire to destroy Jack is more about personal vengeance than business strategy. She fears that this new alliance with Cain will only escalate the conflict, putting both their family and business at even greater risk. Nikki's objections are not only rooted in her desire for peace but also in her growing frustration with Victor's refusal to let go of the past. Nikki's concerns about the partnership with Cain are not just about business, it's about her marriage. She knows that if Victor continues down this path, it will only push her further away. For Nikki, it's not just about Jabot or the Newmans' legacy, it's about the future of her relationship with Victor. She doesn't want to be dragged into another feud, especially one that could cost them everything they've built together. Nikki's dilemma, a decision that could change everything. The tension between Victor and Nikki is reaching a boiling point. Nikki is faced with an impossible decision: continue to stand by her husband and endure the turmoil he brings into her life, or finally break free and live her life without the constant shadow of Victor's control. Nikki's internal struggle is deepened by the fact that Jack Abbott, Victor's most hated rival, has become a central figure in her life once again. Jack has always been a thorn in Victor's side, but his presence in Nikki's life is taking on a new dimension. As she grows increasingly weary of Victor's machinations, Nikki is starting to question whether she deserves more than the constant turmoil Victor has brought her. Could Jack Abbott become the one to finally drive a wedge between Victor and Nikki? As the stakes continue to rise, Nikki may find herself facing a choice that will forever alter the course of her life. She might have to choose between the man who has controlled her life for so long or the possibility of a new beginning with someone who offers her the peace and stability she craves. The road ahead, a family on the brink of destruction. As The Young and the Restless continues to weave its intricate web of power struggles, family feuds, and emotional betrayals, Victor's ongoing conflict with Jack Abbott and his control over his family are becoming the driving forces behind some of the most intense storylines. Nikki Newman, caught between her love for Victor and her growing frustration with his antics, is on the verge of making a decision that will have repercussions for everyone involved. Victor's alliance with Cain Ashby is just one more example of how far he's willing to go to achieve his goals, no matter the cost. But for Nikki, this may be the final straw. Will she choose to stay and continue to endure Victor's manipulations, or will Jack Abbott and the possibility of a life free from Victor's control prove to be too tempting to resist? As tensions continue to build, fans of The Young and the Restless will be on the edge of their seats, eagerly awaiting the next shocking twist in this high-stakes drama. What will happen when the lines between family loyalty and personal happiness finally collide? Only time will tell. The Young and the Restless, Victor Newman's obsession with Jack Abbott and the breaking point in his marriage to Nikki. As The Young and the Restless continues to evolve, the dramatic tension between Victor Newman and his family has reached an explosive crescendo. The long-standing feud between Victor and Jack Abbott has now become a critical turning point, particularly in Victor's relationship with his wife, Nikki Newman. With the stakes higher than ever, Nikki finds herself caught between loyalty to her husband and her deepening friendship with Jack, creating a precarious balance that could shatter everything. Victor's control and the revelation from Cain Ashby. Victor Newman, a man who thrives on control, has always believed that his decisions are for the greater good, especially when it comes to his family. So when Cain Ashby, who is still under Victor's influence, informs him that Nikki had nearly gone to extreme lengths to save their son, Nick Newman, by taking a significant risk, Victor is enraged. Cain tells Victor that Nikki almost allowed herself to be taken captive by Chancellor in a bid to rescue Nick from a dire situation, something that Victor finds completely unacceptable. In true Victor fashion, he chastises Nikki for not consulting him first before making such a drastic decision. He sees her actions as a betrayal, and it cuts to the core of their relationship. For Victor, his control over every aspect of his family's safety and well-being is paramount. His inability to accept that Nikki made an independent decision without his consent demonstrates just how deep his need for power runs. Despite his anger, Victor begrudgingly admits that he can understand why Nikki did what she did, to protect their son. However, he draws a hard line in the sand when it comes to Jack Abbott. Victor makes it abundantly clear to Nikki that while he is willing to accept her actions to save Nick, he will not tolerate her involvement in any scheme to help Jack, particularly in relation to Jabot. To Victor, Jack's involvement in Nikki's life is a personal affront, and he will not allow her to get entangled with his most hated rival, especially if it means jeopardizing his carefully constructed plan. Victor's growing hatred for Jack Abbott. Victor's animosity toward Jack Abbott has been a defining feature of their relationship for years, but the latest developments in their conflict are pushing it to a breaking point. Jack, who has always been a thorn in Victor's side, has recently saved Nikki's life, something that Victor cannot accept or acknowledge. For Victor, Jack's intervention in Nikki's life has crossed a line. In his eyes, Jack's decision to take Nikki to rehab, even after she refused his help, is not an act of kindness, it's manipulation. Victor believes that Jack used Nikki's vulnerability to get close to her, and that by exposing Nikki to rehab, he showed her the real shape of herself. In Victor's mind, Jack is dangerous, and any involvement he has in Nikki's life only puts her further at risk. Victor cannot understand why Nikki has become so close to Jack. While he and Jack have had their differences, this latest act of Jack helping Nikki has crossed a personal line for Victor. To him, Jack's motives are suspect, and his desire to control Nikki's life outweighs any gratitude she might feel toward him. The fact that Nikki and Jack share a friendship that Victor cannot control only fuels his resentment and anger. In his mind, Jack is a threat to everything Victor has built, not just professionally, but also personally. Victor's plan to destroy Jabot and his demand for Nikki's loyalty. Victor, ever the strategist, has set his sights on Jabot, the Abbott family's crown jewel, and he won't let anything stand in his way, not even his wife. The long-standing battle between the Abbott and Newman families has been fought on many fronts, but now Victor is determined to come for Jabot once and for all. His alliance with Cain Ashby is the next phase of his plan, using Cain to help him wrest control of Jabot away from Jack. However, this move is not one that Nikki can condone. While she understands Victor's ambitions, she draws the line at watching Jack lose his company to Victor. Nikki has always been close to Jack, far more than just a business rival, and watching Victor tear apart everything Jack has worked for is something she cannot stomach. She knows firsthand the pain of watching a loved one lose everything, and despite Victor's insistence that this is simply business, Nikki can't bring herself to stand idly by. Victor, who has always seen Nikki as someone who should stand by him no matter the cost, will not accept her dissent. He expects Nikki to be a silent observer in his mission to bring down Jack and take Jabot. However, Nikki is resolute in her position, and she will not allow Victor's obsessive hatred for Jack to destroy everything she values, her integrity, her friendship with Jack, and the love she has for her family. The threat of divorce, a marriage on the brink. As the tension between Nikki and Victor intensifies, it becomes clear that the couple is on the verge of a breaking point. Nikki's refusal to blindly follow Victor's commands regarding Jack and Jabot has placed a wedge between them, one that is growing wider with each passing day. Victor, unwilling to compromise, sees Nikki's actions as a betrayal of the loyalty she promised him when they married. For Nikki, on the other hand, the conflict between family loyalty and personal values is tearing her apart. If Victor refuses to back down, Nikki may have no choice but to consider the unthinkable, divorce. The thought of breaking up her family is not one Nikki takes lightly, but her marriage has become a prison, one that keeps her shackled to Victor's manipulations and his vendetta against Jack. She can no longer stand by and watch as Victor alienates everyone she cares about for the sake of his own ego and pride. The question now is whether Victor will be willing to sacrifice his marriage for his relentless pursuit of Jack Abbott, or if Nikki will make the difficult choice to leave him behind in order to live a life that isn't defined by revenge and control. The stakes have never been higher, and the young and the restless fans are left wondering, will Nikki and Victor find a way to salvage their marriage, or is this the end of their decades-long partnership? A family divided, what lies ahead for the Newmans and the Abbotts? As the tension builds between Nikki and Victor, the fate of the Newman family, and the rivalry with the Abbotts, hangs in the balance. With Victor's obsession with destroying Jack and Nikki's refusal to stand by his side, the conflict threatens to divide more than just a marriage, it could tear the entire family apart. At the heart of this drama is the question of loyalty. Will Nikki remain loyal to her husband, or will she finally stand up to Victor and carve her own path, even if it means going against everything she's known? In the coming weeks, fans can expect even more explosive confrontations and dramatic decisions that will leave everyone questioning where the future of the Newman and Abbott families lies. Only time will tell if Nikki will choose love over loyalty, or if Victor will finally get the ultimate revenge on Jack, regardless of the cost.